Okay, so in the last chapter we did all these sketches, so now in this chapter it's about presenting the ideas and understanding the feedback that you are getting. Whether or not you're working internally in a studio or as an external partner, like a freelancer, then it's important that you know how to communicate what you're doing here. So let me just get rid of these show notes. These were just like some external notes. I think they're good enough, but let's just create a new, say print A4, because maybe they want to print it. God knows, maybe it's not just all in a mirror board or online or anything. Maybe they actually want to print it and hang it up and discuss it. So let's just go with a A4, collapse this, and then take it over to this one. And it comes with everything actually. Let's just do something like this. Okay, so I'll just scale it down a tiny bit. Get rid of this. These are my notes. There, I want to have them, but they don't need to be on this layer. Do it like this, and let me just, I want to make sure that they see this as my primary layout. This is the one I want them to choose. Not that they have to, but I would strongly recommend them to choose this one. So that's how you normally present stuff, like, oh yeah, there's 5 options, but I really want you to choose this one. Some people make shittier options. They make AB 1, 2, 3 or ABC, and then they make the others less quality, so that they know that they're gonna select that one. Just gonna mark them with a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. So the show notes here, let me just get this a little bit bigger so you can actually read what's going on. And this is just like a sort of a very basic overview. So it looks like this. Camera here, looking at the protagonist from behind. Antagonist here, and then train station behind, up here. Some sort of broken ruins. Just so you get some sort of overview of how the layout of the land is. And I can even be as fancy as painting it in red. Okay, and then antagonist. Something like this. So it's just about you communicating to whoever you're working with that this is the idea, this is how you're going to execute it. Because again, everything is about it's a conversation. Basically everything should be a conversation where you say, this is what I think, look through what I've did, explain to me what you think, let's adjust according to that. So put it up as nicely as you can. Sometimes you have logos, like if it's a game company, it's like you put a logo here, put a bit of a gradient in the background and stuff like that. But that's just like overlay. Sometimes you put your name, Andreas, at the bottom, plus a date, so you know who did it and what time it was made, because it's always good to refer back to. But again, like our normal work method is in Mirrorboard, and you always get history and documentation of who did what. So that's basically an online collaborative whiteboard where you always stick your work in, so you don't necessarily need to date it like that. You can always write note next to it. But picking the sketch that you want to present, then you present it, and then you get feedback. And what you do when you get feedback, this sounds very rudimentary, but you'll be surprised how many people don't know how to take feedback. When an art director gives you feedback, if it's qualified, if you feel that this art director knows what they're doing, shut up and listen to them. Listen to what they say. Don't defend. Don't interrupt. Sit down, take notes, listen to what they say. You don't necessarily have to take in everything. If this say art director says, oh, the character needs to be over here, right next to this, and with a rifle pointing here, so we trap this, I would say this is bad composition. What about all this space? So I'll defend it to some point, and I will say if I disagree, but I will not overrule. I'll take it as a very fine balance where I inject some of my ideas, but I don't like reject their input, because at the end it's their product. It's them who has to be happy with what comes out of this process. If it's your own product, by all means do what you want. But if somebody else pays you to do something, then listen to their feedback. Of course, say your professional opinion, but take in their feedback and make sure that you write notes, because this is super, super important. It's something like people forget. When somebody gives you feedback, you damn well better take notes, because otherwise it's the same as flushing their feedback. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit riled up, but I've seen it so many times that when you give professional feedback to somebody and they just sit and nod and look at you, it's like, why are you not taking notes? Because this is bullshit. You're not gonna remember any of what I just said. Because what I normally do is, when we work with external partners, is that I go in and paint on top, say this need to be further down, more light this way, bloom. So I put all kind of notes, and at the end I just either ask them to take a screenshot, I put this on the mirror next to their work, but I expect them to take notes at the same time, because they need to understand what I just said. If they don't understand, like, what do you mean about bloom? I mean, I need to have this more light and the characters darker. Ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, you just missed your chance to actually understand what the art director says. It gives you 3 days more where you can basically fuck up things. So you can see that this is quite dear to my heart, to really understand what's going on, because that's what I normally do, is that I believe in very open communication. Written feedback from an art director is bullshit. That doesn't help anything. Ask for a conversation where you talk to the art director, and so that they can give you one-on-one feedback where they can paint over and talk to you while they're doing it, because that's the only way you're going to know what they think and what they think about your work, and it's the only way you can progress in a fast way. Everything else is just a waste of time. So the way you handle feedback is that you are open, you are professional about it, you're understanding, and you're understanding that critique is not about you, but it's about your work, and their only job is to maximize the quality of things that comes out at the end. So their only concern is to maximize the quality of your work. So see it as a help when somebody gives you feedback, and try to learn as much as you can. I've been in this game for some time now, and my work is somewhat okay, I guess, but I know that there's so much more I can learn. There's so many things that I still need to learn. So every time somebody who can give qualified feedback to me, I suck it up, because I really want to learn from them. Because I know that there's a million billion ways that I'm not good enough yet. And every time somebody gives me critique, and it's a person who is professional, and I know that I can learn something from, I just really take it in. I take in as much as I can, because it's a chance for me to learn, it's a chance for me to grow. So do the same. No matter what stage you are in your professional career, you're always room for feedback, because feedback is the only way you grow. So this is a tangent. I can ramble on for a long time, and I think we should just skip to the next chapter. They're saying, art director gave me notes saying, this is actually good, number 5. Okay, is there anything you want to say? No, everything is okay. Take it to the next stage, but I need 3 different variations of the color scheme. Just slight variations, because I think that by the reference that they gave us in the mood board, I think it's good enough. So in the next chapter, I'll show you how to make some variations, just so they can sort of say, we want this variation. They don't want wild variations, but maybe just some different setting with some clouds or haze, different amount of debris, what's it called, obscurity of the background and stuff like that. So I'll see you in the next chapter, where I take this sketch and then start to paint it up.